was already seeking ways to tame the Colorado through the engineering skills of the Bureau of Reclamation. But with 7 states disputing how much of the river's water each could claim, construction of a dam, any dam, was only a dream. But in 1921, Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover joined representatives from the 7 states to seek out a solution to equal water rights. Hoover proposed to simply divide the area into a lower and upper basin and leave further negotiations to the states within those basins. This compromise paved the way for the Boulder Canyon project to be constructed. And in 1931, the structure that would one day bear Hoover's name began with an explosion. Not only of black powder and dynamite, but one of human tenacity and ingenuity. It was the largest single contract awarded to that time by the federal government. It took the combined resources of 6 companies, forged into a single contracting entity, to undertake the mammoth project. But before the first shovel of earth could be removed, the Colorado River had to be diverted from its timeless path. The key was to cut 2 tunnels through the canyon walls on each side of the river, each 56 feet in diameter and approximately 4,000 feet long. The 4 tunnels took 2 years to complete. With the tunnels open and cofferdams in place, the Colorado River had no choice but to leave its riverbed and flow through the man-made corridors. With the river diverted, steam shovels dug through as much as 135 feet of silt, mud, and gravel to reach bedrock. And there, Hoover Dam began as a simple square wooden form filled with concrete, followed by more than 3 million cubic yards of concrete over the next 2 years. Add the adjoining structures, and enough concrete was placed to build a 4-foot wide sidewalk around the Earth's equator. Heat from the setting concrete was predicted to take more than 100 years to cool, but engineers fashioned 1-inch steel pipe inside each concrete block before it was poured. A refrigeration plant so massive it could produce a 1,000-ton iceberg every day continuously pumped cold water through the pipes, cooling the concrete so construction was never interrupted. This innovative idea helped the entire structure be completed in just 5 years, 2 years ahead of schedule. Hoover Dam was built with 5 million barrels of cement, 18 million pounds of structural steel, 21 million pounds of gates and valves, and 840 miles of pipe. The scale of some of the equipment was beyond the capacity of American highways and railroads. The pipes that would carry water from the reservoir to the generators were so large they could not be shipped, so a manufacturing plant was created to build them at the site. An infrastructure of highways, railroad tracks, and power lines had to be created to move men and materials from outlying areas to the dam site and to supply electricity for construction. An entire town was needed to house the workers who were pouring in from all over America in the midst of the Great Depression. The project averaged 3,500 workers a day, working 3 shifts, 7 days a week with only 2 days off a year. The pay scale started at $4 a day, a good wage in the midst of the Great Depression sweeping America. Amid the country's economic uncertainty, the workers in this canyon gave new life to the nation's spirit, as they gave new life to the desert Southwest.
This is an engineering victory of the first order, another great achievement of American resourcefulness, American skill, and American determination. And that is why I have the right once more to congratulate you who have builded Boulder Dam, and on behalf of the nation, to say to you, well done.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt dedicated Boulder Dam on September 30th, 1935. In 1947, Congress officially named it Hoover Dam. Some call it the most prodigious engineering construction feat since the Great Pyramids of Egypt. When a U.S. Senate committee endorsed construction of Hoover Dam in 1928, its report said, "A mighty river, now a source of destruction, is to be curbed and put to work in the interests of society." And so it was. Hoover Dam brought the desert flood control, a reliable supply of water, electrical power, and more. Behind a 726-foot-tall concrete face lies Lake Mead, America's largest man-made lake. Born out of the collected waters of the Colorado River, it could cover the entire state of Pennsylvania to the depth of 1 foot. But held behind Hoover Dam, it is a life-giving source for communities throughout the Southwest. On its way to meet downstream needs, thousands of gallons of water per second flow from Lake Mead through the dam's 17 giant turbines, producing clean, non-polluting hydroelectric power. Hoover Dam produces almost 4.5 billion kilowatt hours of electricity each year, enough to serve the needs of over 1 million people. The sale of this power has repaid the entire cost of constructing Hoover Dam and continues to fund the yearly operating and maintenance costs as well. Hoover Dam helped ensure a future for the communities that settled along the river and the low, flat valleys of Southern California and Southwest Arizona. In Las Vegas, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and other smaller cities, Colorado River water delivered from Lake Mead helps meet the needs of millions of people a year. Hoover Dam and other dams along the Colorado River contain the floodwaters spawned each spring by melting snows, and from their reservoirs flows an assured and reliable water supply for water users throughout the basin. Combined with the warm climate and rich soils of the lower Colorado River basin, water from Lake Mead has created some of the most productive farmland in the country. Farms in Arizona, Southern California, and Mexico, irrigated by these controlled flows, produce over $1 billion worth of vegetables and fruits throughout the year for dinner tables across the nation. The clear reservoirs and controlled river stretches resulting from construction of Hoover and other dams have created year-round recreational opportunities at the National Park Service's Lake Mead Recreation Area and other locations along the Colorado River. Hoover Dam first helped create and now helps sustain the high quality of life enjoyed by millions of people in the desert Southwest. At Hoover Dam and its other projects throughout the West, the Bureau of Reclamation is focused on efficient, effective, environmentally sensitive water resources management to help ensure our limited water supplies can meet the needs of all who depend on them. Wherever the system delivers water, life flourishes. Herbert Hoover, engineer, humanitarian, politician, fisherman, and conservationist, believed, as did many others, in a vision where man could affect nature for the good. With every touch of its coarse concrete skin, and each sparkle that dances behind its crown, Hoover Dam reminds us of the need to dream noble purposes and the strength of the human spirit to achieve great aspirations.
We are on a guided tour of the Hoover Dam. Whoop, sorry, kiddo. That was your foot.
So, yesterday, I have my friends got up. My text a little bit yesterday. It was 85.
My child talking to people. Ooh. Ooh, that is ice. That was cold. Hey, look, there's ice in the down there on the ground in the thing.
There's ice, but it's like 100.
Yeah, but we're 500 and something feet underground. All right. What do we got over here? Holy moly.
Water is being diverted through.
Yeah. They had to create the manufacturing plant just to make it. Eyeball. All right, let's go this way. There you are.
Alrighty, welcome everybody. In case you didn't hear my Adam, so we are currently standing right here inside the Nevada Canyon wall with one of our four original diversion tunnels. We know each tunnel is 15 feet diameter, about 4,000 feet long, and it took almost 2 years to blast out of solid bedrock. The purpose of the diversion tunnels is to take the river and move it out and away from the project during construction. Kind of hard to pour concrete into a moving river. To move the river, they put in a coffer dam, 2 sections. The upper portion here pushed the river into the tunnels and around, while the lower section stopped the river from backing up into the area. Once they were replaced, the water flowed down the area. They dug down 135 feet till they hit bedrock, and that became the foundation for the dam. When construction started, buckets containing 80 cubic yards of concrete were lowered down from above on an average of about every 78 seconds. That went on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for just about 2 years. Everybody's seen this cement truck, right? Put it on the back. That's about the size of the buckets that were hanging over these guys' heads. 16 tons of concrete in each one. So I imagine it was pretty scary being down there. Near the end of completion of the dam, they began filling up Lake B, the nation's largest man-made reservoir. To fill the lake, they closed off 3 diversion tunnels. When they remained open, that allowed some of the river to continue downstream. Most people downriver still leaving the water. And as the lake began to fill, water started going into our 4 intake towers. And once that happened, they closed off that remaining diversion tunnel. Now they're able to take advantage of all the water being requested downstream and run it directly through both sides of the power plant. The goal was to make as much money back as possible to pay off that original loan. The government paid for the project like anyone else who wanted to get their money back. That's why they put the power plant in. 50 years later, the loan was paid off in full with interest. The government recouped its money, everyone was happy, and we continue to operate the facility. We're a pretty unique federal facility. We're self-funded. Basically means tax dollars don't come here. We pay all of our own bills for that power production. It works out pretty good for everyone. Now, the water's entering those intake towers and goes into 30-foot diameter penstock plants. We're standing above one. If you peek over the side, you can see it down there. You also feel the rumbling in the floor. It's actually the water moving through the pipe. Got 4 of them. Each one of those pipes can have 96,000 gallons of water a second. Just one of them will fill Olympic size buoy in under 7 seconds. So that gives you an idea how much water we can move around. It's a fair amount. Pipes reduce in size all the way down to 7 feet diameter. Water spins the turbines on the generators, then it gets dropped right back in the river. Initially, that lower coffer dam was blown up and removed, so the river can move down smoothly. And the upper coffer dam is still on the bottom of the lake today. They just did mileage take it out, save a couple bucks. It's not anything, it's basically just a big pile of dirt rocks. So, 2 other very important pieces of equipment at the dam, which are spillways. Got the Nevada spillway, we also got Arizona spillway. Both of these were built just a bit lower than the top of the dam. The reason for that is, last thing you ever want to happen here on Lake B is the water gets so high, it's from the top of the dam. We're not designed to handle water that way, like out the power plant. So, the lake is full, instead of going to the top, it flows naturally into the spillways, it's regulated downstream that way. Spillways have only been used twice. The first time was 1941. That was the first year they filled the lake up. They did it intentionally to basically test everything. Second time was 1983. That year, the Rocky Mountains had an incredibly large snowpack, a lot greater than we were really anticipating for the season. This is almost all the water comes from. Was that Rockies from that snow? From spring into early summer, the river got out of control. The lake actually filled just shy of 7 feet from over the top. But it's intended, and when raided in the spillways, they regulated downstream that way for 63 consecutive days. It saved a ton of property damage downriver and saved all kinds of lives. That's why Hoover Dam was put here, was for that flood control. So far it's been doing an excellent job. Kind of a small photo of this side of the Nevada spillway at the time. During a large portion of the 63 days, each one of the spillways was handling the same volume as Niagara Falls. So for a large portion of that time, every single dam and reservoir up and down the entire 1,700 miles of the river working together to safely distribute that combination of both Niagara Falls and river at the same time. Long sentence. And they did an exceptional job. Roughly only about $80 million of damage downriver from the event. If the reservoirs hadn't been in place, they hadn't practiced with policies and acceptable flood control, it could have been catastrophic like it happened so many years in the past, over and over and over. It could have been a wall of water going down, taking basically everything on both sides of the river, all the way down to the Gulf of California. So far it's been doing a really good job with it. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this part of the presentation. We've got a pretty good group. Just remember, as John said, I'm not going to guarantee we're all going to the same elevator on the orbital we're going to take you. I'll do my best to get you in the same elevator. If not, please don't freak out. It's literally like about 8 seconds right up to the next level. We're not going to do it. You guys up front with me. What do you know?
Walking through the tunnel, walking through the tunnel. On another level, going to see the power plants. Yeah. It's not quite as chilly on this floor.
down directly below, you're going to see the large round black thing. That's one of our rotors. It came out of the Nevada 3 generator. So when you're looking down the line, you're going to see M1, M2, number 3. That's because the inside portion of it's actually down here. They're doing some work on it. This one was out for an overhaul about a year ago, if I remember correctly. When they fired it back up, it had a vibration, so you're now actually breaking it completely down. When you look on the top of it, you see the kind of like the walkway or whatever. There's 10 of those big plates up there. Depending on the model, we're not sure which one this is. It's between 55 and 75, so 5,500 to 7,500 plates actually in the stack for it. Pretty impressive. So we got 8 commercial generators on the Nevada side, and there's 9 more across the river in Arizona. Each generator can stand 70 feet tall, but from this view you're only seeing the top 30. The rest is down below the floors. Each one can produce up to 130 megawatts of power. That's enough to supply between 64 and 65,000 homes simultaneously. Running at full capacity, the output's right around 1.4 million homes. Even for the age of the plant, it's still extremely productive. Now, between the rotor and Nevada 1, the round object embedded in the floor, that's one of our 2 Pelton water wheel generators. We have one in each wing. Each of these produce 2.4 megawatts. That's what's used for the in-house electricity here in the dam and surrounding facilities. That was also the very first generator to come online back in 1936. Now, people might be wondering how you got the rotor from over there to over here. To do that, we use our bridge cranes. Each wing has 2 P&H mobile bridge cranes. Our beloved American flag makes it for the one nearest to us. Now, each crane has a lifting capacity of 300 ton. If you're curious how much that is, the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor is only 225 ton. So you can pick up some really heavy stuff. But, well, the math doesn't work, right? 300, 600. That's how much that guy weighs when he's fully assembled. You use both cranes at the same time to pick it, lift it, and drop it over. 600 tons is an incredible amount of weight. It's actually the equivalent of between 50 and 60 modern-day school buses. Pretty impressive stuff. Now, if you look over your shoulder towards the rear of the room, now you're looking back towards Lake Mead. Between Lake Mead and us is the dam. It's right on the other side of the power plant wall here. Now, at this level, there's roughly 450 feet of concrete between us and the reservoir. And we've got close to 300 feet of water above our head, back on that side. The dam stands 726 feet tall, 1,244 feet across at the top, almost a quarter mile, but only 45 feet deep at the roadway. It slopes downriver to a thickness at the base of an incredible 660 feet. That's actually 10 feet longer than the length of this mess we're standing in right now. Sorry, everyone, grab a quick photo or so. We're going to wrap up and head us back to the elevators and get you upstairs.